Well, hello there, um, Internet. Today I'm going to talk about my experience with a group called Norskk. If you're here from Reddit, you already know this story. You'll get the additional stuff to what I left behind, or what I left out, rather, in the Reddit post. All right, for those of you that don't know, a few years back, this would have been around 2018. Um, I I met an acquaintance through a charity boxing organization or charity boxing event. Um, we bonded over similar music. I really enjoy the band Bordruna, and he was the only other person I met where I live that enjoyed and knew Wardruna. So we bonded over that, and I had an interest in Norse mythology, Norse history, and all that. If you look, however, that history, that mythology, all that, it's usually taken from third-hand accounts. So encounters with the Scandinavian people, what people today would call the Vikings. Um, it was brought about through trade, pretty much. And I was looking for more concrete information. We really, with very few selections like Voluspa, all that, we have very few first-hand accounts. I was looking for more of that. Most of our stuff is either, like I said, from third-party sources. Trade with, you know, people in modern-day Middle East or other parts of Europe. We have archaeological records in North America, stuff like that. So I was looking for first-hand accounts. This individual, who I won't name, just out of respect of the friendship that we had, introduced me to this group called Norskk, Norskk, and claimed that they had a lot of the stuff that I was looking for. Um, so there was an entrance fee which this friend actually purchased for me. I believe it was $80, $100, 100 US dollars, something somewhere in there. And it gave you all access to pretty much their literature. And so they have like podcasts and stuff like that, and little literature bits that you can read. And I started listening. This is a couple months after I got my account activated and verified. And they had all sorts of weird things talking about operational security and talking about how people were going to steal this and bastardize it like the Christians had done before, which, I mean, yeah, the Christians and other people did horrific things to the pagans. Um, but given the age that we live in, where we are a very enlightened, well, we are a somewhat enlightened people, I was kind of thrown off by the fact that they would have something that they wanted to keep secret rather than share it with the world, if it was this great archaeological find or, something that gave further credence. If not for the betterment of human knowledge, just for the selfish reason of they could make some money if they had something of worth. Um, Looking at what they had said, their first podcast was talking about the differences between men and women. And there was a lot of stuff in there that really kind of raised my hairs. It came off as what I perceived to be very misogynistic, very just not right. And so I cut away from the group for a while. Um, cut away from the group for about 2 years. Earlier, I believe it was earlier this year, I saw a Reddit feed, which is, if you're from Reddit, this is where you're coming in. This is where you'll know. I was radio silent with Norskk. I got rid of them. I just didn't want to be associated with a lot of the stuff they were preaching. And I stumbled across a Reddit feed asking whether or not Norskk was legitimate or not, whether they were a legitimate group for bringing about paganism, stuff like that. There were a lot of posts on there that kind of corroborated what I had thought, that they had some ideals that were not necessarily true to what was really going on in history. A lot of stuff that was very politicized, um, and a lot of stuff that was just downright wrong and downright dangerous. So I threw in my two bits. Basically told him like, hey, here's my experience with Norskk. Here's, here's what I found. Here's what I studied on my own and compared it to, and because of that, I do not believe that Norskk is a legitimate outfit. Um, a lot of my other research about the group brought up some stuff. They have a blog that they call Helluland News, HELLULAND, however they spell it, where there was a lot of stuff talking about maintaining. They had a crap list, which I'm on now, for speaking out against them. They had a lot of stuff talking about how the feminist movements are dumb, how they needed to preserve the ethnic purity of Danes, which really, really raised some red flags with me, because anytime someone's talking about ethnic purity, that's really, really red flag. Stuff like that. So I gave my accounts. They had some kind of, they claimed that there was a soap explosion at one of their facilities, which I looked at on Google. I couldn't find anything. Later in this smear piece they wrote about me, they claimed that it was just two dudes and some huskies like doing a shake and bake kit for soap out in the middle of nowhere. So, I mean, if that's legit, obviously that wouldn't pop up on Google. They had pictures of so-called artifacts that were passed down through generations. When I did a Google reverse, it popped to other sites as well. So I don't know whether or not that was a legitimate artifact, or whether or not it's just, they crafted something and, threw a patina on it and claimed it as, historical evidence. But they, again, haven't turned it into a museum or had it authenticated by an external source. They only authenticate in-house. So that's kind of shady, especially when you're dealing with historical stuff like that. So this Reddit piece I put up, and I basically said, like, I told them that Norskk I do not believe is legit, and I believe that they're wrong, and that they are not a group that you want to be associated with. It went quiet for about 2 or 3 months, and then I received a fake cease and desist, and they gathered a bunch of information on me. They basically went into my LinkedIn, which I hadn't maintained. They went into public records, gathered a bunch of stuff about me, sent this fake cease and desist to a former employer of mine who I had left up on my LinkedIn that I hadn't worked with for a long time at that point. Copied some to the FBI of where I live, all that. And so I reached out to legal counsel just to make sure that this was not legit, and it wasn't. They reached out to the FBI, and the FBI's like, no, there's nothing here. Like, Brad, is completely clean. So I was like, okay, and I gave that update. Then they wrote this smear piece on me on their little news network thing, and that turned my head really quick, because they were saying that I had committed like they threw a U.S. penal code, and I forget the code for it, saying computer fraud, but then they said that I hacked some government server that they were associated with through my former employer, and that I was, arrested. So that right there was a blatant lie. Was not arrested, never hacked a government website, never hacked anything like that. So again, I reached out to legal counsel, who gave them a legitimate cease and desist. They also said I was wanted internationally from pretty much the Scandinavian countries and Canada. So we reached out to these agencies and asked, hey, did I hack anything? And they're like, no, no, we don't want you for anything. Um, there has been no investigation opened, anything like that. They said, um, this group obviously is lying. Keep us informed if more stuff comes out. So my lawyer sent them a cease and desist. They responded with some pretty colorful insults. I got a lawyer through the university that I'm working with and that I'm studying with currently, and basically claimed that she was illegitimate because she's a college lawyer. They do a legal service for students and staff there. Um, so after talking with her extensively about that, she did say that it would probably be a it would probably be a good idea that I release what happened to everyone so that they know. The the smear piece that they wrote, um, she said don't like spread the website so that it doesn't go to the top of the Google list, but if you guys follow through the websites, you'll find me pretty quick on their little hate list. Um, yeah, so overall, I would recommend do not associate with Norskk. They lie about everything. They lie about being, who they are, stuff like that. They use fake addresses and fake names. There's one account where they put up the actor who plays Tormund Giant's Bane in their profile and claim it's one of them. It's like, you do realize anyone that has watched Game of Thrones knows this dude. Like, that's not you. You don't look like that. Um, Found out that at least there is an association between Norskk and this outfitting company out in Canada that had a huge lawsuit put against them because they discriminated against someone who was Christian who wanted to work for them. This Christian female, and at least I believe she was a Christian female. There was some kind of discrimination suit, either based off the sex or off the religion, and he threw a fit in court. The guy who owns Norskk or is associated with this group that is associated with Norskk, and claimed that he's not going to pay anything. So avoid Norskk. They are not who they say. They have very, very incorrect and dangerous ideas. And yeah, so that's the story, guys. Again, it's not much more than what you see on Reddit. So yeah, that's basically it. Anyone that thinks about joining Norskk, please exercise good judgment. I'm not going to tell you to. I'm not going to tell you not to join them if you really, really wish. Just understand that what you're getting into is going to be a very, very well-strung web of lies that falls apart as soon as you pull a thread. So, anyway, hope you guys have a great day. Bye.